Everything outside should be on a GFCI. Here's a simple, really way of saying this. If you bought an older house and you didn't bring an electrician to upgrade it or give you advice on the electrical, and it has an outdoor plug that is not GFI protected, and you have an electrical lawnmower, and you go outside when the ground is wet, and you plug that into that receptacle because you're going to cut the grass with an electrical lawnmower, your feet get wet, what can happen?
There could potentially be a shock hazard.
And you know, it's funny, when it comes to a hot tub, a lot of people will think they can just get anyone to install it. Why do I keep talking about electrical and water? They don't mix. If you put in a hot tub, you want to make sure it's wired right. Like, I don't want to risk sitting in a bathtub with a radio that's plugged into the wall, hoping I don't, it doesn't fall into the... How many people did that years ago? Put a radio by the tub that they're in. Yeah. That was years ago. That doesn't happen anymore.
There could potentially be a shock hazard there, but...
Very, because we don't have the ground fault protection. Because that trips it right away, where instead that you may get it. And many people have been shocked this way. And it's just simple. Don't plug anything on outside that's not GFI protected.
For sure. And your holiday decorations too. Yeah. Make sure that they're plugged into GFCI outlets as well.
I think the smartest thing to do is, I've said this a million times, if you buy a house and you didn't get a chance to bring in a home inspector to take a look at the house and give you advice on that, is to just call a licensed electrical contractor to come in and give you advice on what you bought into. Okay, there's no GFIs on the outside of your home. Is there aluminum wiring? Now, I know aluminum wiring is fine. The problem is insurance, and everyone's changing it from aluminum to copper, and the two wires don't mix. This is why it's so important that if you do have aluminum wire, that you change it over, because most people are not going to realize it's not a good thing. That means you need an AL receptacle, an AL switch, which stands for aluminum. Most people will change that old receptacle and they'll do it themselves. DIY, homeowners will do this, and they're putting in copper into an aluminum. That's a big no-no. Do an inspection and give me some advice on the house of the upgrades that I need to do. And if you do them, get a permit. If it looks like you got an old panel, you probably shouldn't do it. It should be a newer panel. That's what we're trying to look at now. And if you've got fuses in your panel still, it might be time to change your panel. Like a long time ago. Fuses are still good, but again, it's the dummy rule. A 15 amp fuse keeps blowing, so I put in a 20 or I put in a 25, which means you're not allowing that line to break of overconsumption, and that line can heat up and cause a fire in your home. Something so simple. We all thought years ago, put in a 20 amp breaker on a 15 amp line.
If you do have a fuse panel, you should really be taking a look. If that should be a 15 amp circuit, it's got 20 amp fuses on there, that's a hazard. You should get an electrician in. That's
a big hazard. So with the holidays coming up, and I'm talking Christmas, and I love Christmas, everyone wants to light up their house. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we did a big competition on who could light up their house better than anyone else. And we ran generators just to do this, but it wasn't permanent. So it was a lot of fun seeing what we could do.
Make sure it's certified. Make sure it's rated for outdoor use if you're going to put it outdoors.
Now, I understand LED. So LED lights, you can put a lot on one circuit. And a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing I am, is that you can put a lot of lights on one circuit. Legally, you can't, but you can for consumption.
For LED string lights that you would find for the front of your house or on your Christmas tree, typically they're very, very small consumption, but the manufacturer is going to have a limit on how many you can connect in one string.
They'll say not more than 4.
And that number of strings is intended to make sure that it stays within those limits. So
I love what you just said, which a lot of people, my son, I'm always pointing at, don't do. Okay, so you look for the certification mark. Awesome. Congratulations. You're good. You can use it. It's exterior. You've got the certification mark. Did you read the instructions? Yeah. Isn't it kind of important to read the instructions? I read the instructions on everything. Absolutely everything. I don't know why I do it, but I'm just afraid for that. But I do. And I think it's the smartest thing that everyone can do is read the instructions. A great example is how many lights can you put on one? What they're trying to tell you is don't plug in more than 4 string lights on one circuit or on one extension cord, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Something I've seen a lot lately is the deer outside, and they're all lit up, right? And I look at them, a snowman, an inflatable snowman
Yep.
for that matter, that have lights inside them.
Yep.
You should, because it's plugged, you need to look for
Yep. Absolutely.
certification mark.
They would need to be plugged in to an extension cord that's not overloaded and plugged into a ground fault circuit interrupted.
Really simple. Do we all know as homeowners that this is very important? We got to think, when it comes to our kids, I think a parent will do absolutely anything. So for your kids, when it comes to electrical, you should make sure that you're doing it right. If you like the show, check out the episode page on makeitright.ca for more tips.